A black-haired male student demands to know why his girlfriend, Lemon, is breaking up with him, and she confesses to cheating on him with 3 different guys. The student, Sunao Akiyoshi, wakes up from a nightmare. Sunao Akiyoshi recalls his nightmare was about his ex-girlfriend and childhood best friend, Lemon Nishikawa, dumping him. Sunao reflects on his relationship with Lemon, his first girlfriend, and how her dumping him made him give up on love as he walks outside. Someone calls out to him. A cheerful senior student, Natsumi Kogahara, greets Sunao Akiyoshi. Natsumi Kogahara excitedly talks about a film club activity, and Sunao admires her smile before she invites him out for drinks with the club. Sunao agrees to go out and asks Natsumi Kogahara for her opinion on cheating, to which she reacts with strong disapproval. Natsumi declares their mission for the evening is to help their club's president find someone new. Natsumi says she has to leave for class but mentions she's looking forward to the weekend, and Sunao realizes she's including him. Inspired by Natsumi Kogahara, Sunao resolves to pursue a happy ending with her and forget about his ex, Lemon. Sunao looks forward to his upcoming movie date with Natsumi, seeing it as the start of his own happy ending, before realizing he's late for class. Rushing to his last class on the 6th floor, Sunao enters an elevator just as someone asks him to hold the door. Sunao holds the elevator door for someone and is shocked when he sees who it is. Sunao is stunned to see a young woman with light-colored hair standing in the elevator with him. The woman recognizes Sunao, and he panics, realizing it's his ex-girlfriend and their first time speaking since she broke up with him. The woman, his ex, acts surprisingly cheerful, commenting on how long it's been, leaving Sunao confused by her casual attitude. Sunao is aghast that his ex seems to have forgotten she cheated on him, while she laments not wearing more makeup for their chance encounter. His ex-girlfriend says she hopes they meet again as she exits the elevator, much to Sunao's horror. Sunao is dejected at the club's drinking party, and despite his friend's attempts to cheer him up, he can't stop thinking about running into his ex. While the club members discuss the prez's cheating ex, Natsumi tells Sunao she couldn't date someone with unresolved baggage from a past relationship. Realizing Natsumi's words about baggage apply to him, Sunao feels dejected as the group leaves the bar. Sunao agonizes over running into his ex, finding himself thinking about her again and worrying that Natsumi's prediction about his baggage will come true. Sunao declares his resolve to forget Lemon, and as his friends look on, he spots a shooting star. As Sunao watches the shooting star disappear, his ex-girlfriend is shown nearby looking at the same sky. Lemon laments forgetting to make a wish, while Sunao interprets the shooting star as a sign of good luck for his new resolve. Sunao declares he will forget his ex on his own and laughs, shouting, "So long, witch!" which confuses Natsumi and others nearby. Confident he's over his ex, Sunao's perspective shifts to the next morning as a hand silences a phone alarm. Lemon wakes up feeling sleepy, but pauses as she sits up in bed, looking confused. Confused by the sound of her own voice, Lemon looks in a mirror and lets out a city-shaking scream of terror. The person looking in the mirror panics, wondering why they are Lemon and why they can't wake up from what they believe is a dream. Startled by her doorbell, the person in Lemon's body sees Sunao on the monitor asking to be let in. Sunao and Lemon sit together and realize that they have swapped bodies. Freaking out about the body swap, Sunao proposes that they pretend to be each other for the day. Lemon refuses to pretend to be Sunao, but he begs her, explaining he has a report to turn in for a class he cannot miss. Natsumi Kogahara greets Lemon, who is in Sunao's body, causing her to panic while Sunao urges her not to let anyone find out. Confident they can pull it off due to their long history, Sunao hands Lemon his report and tells her he goes to Taito University. Standing before the prestigious Taito University, Lemon panics, wondering how she's supposed to pretend to be smart. Sunao, in Lemon's body, is ambushed by 2 of her friends and nervously makes an excuse to get away. Trying to navigate the campus, Sunao is greeted by numerous people and realizes that his ex-girlfriend is surprisingly popular. In class, Sunao learns there will be a quiz based on an outline he doesn't have, which Lemon failed to mention. A male classmate gives Sunao the outline and his phone number, leading Sunao to wonder if Lemon is a guy magnet. Sunao internally warns everyone not to be fooled by the witch, then leaves class feeling exhausted after declining lunch with her friends. Lemon, in Sunao's body, waits outside the university to check on him and spots him in the crowd. Lemon watches in horror as Sunao is cornered by several muscular guys from the martial arts club trying to recruit him. The club members aggressively try to recruit a terrified Sunao, while Lemon watches, realizing how scary the situation must be for a girl. Lemon feels sympathy for Sunao as he struggles to get away from the persistent martial arts club members. Lemon runs up to Sunao, takes his arm, and announces, "Sorry I'm late." Lemon pulls Sunao away from the recruiters, glaring at them and asking why they are talking to her boyfriend, which frightens them into silence. Lemon chides Sunao for not being more assertive, while Sunao observes that she has the same nervous habit she had as a kid. Lemon reveals she knows Sunao is scared because he's grabbing his sleeve, a habit he's had since they were children. Lemon suggests skipping their afternoon classes, but Sunao becomes agitated, thinking about her past and her reputation for having many boyfriends. Sunao confronts Lemon about her having cheated on him with 3 other guys, and she seems surprised by the accusation. As they decide to go home, Lemon worries she made Sunao seem obsessed by bringing up the past, and then remembers she forgot to tell him something important. Lemon reveals she has a roommate, shocking Sunao, before running off and promising to text him the details. As Sunao wonders about the roommate, Natsumi Kokahara appears and cheerfully greets Lemon. Natsumi chats with a stunned Sunao, revealing that she is Lemon's roommate and is making dinner for them. Walking home alone, Lemon is distraught, realizing Sunao believes she cheated on him and regretting what she said when they broke up. Lemon wonders why she had to make up a story about cheating on him as Natsumi walks with Sunao, pointing out a kitty. Sunao reflects on the two shocking discoveries of the day, swapping bodies with Lemon and his crush Natsumi being her roommate. Natsumi notices Lemon's red face as Sunao panics about spending the night at her place, while Natsumi playfully guesses she ate her pudding. Natsumi insists that Sunao, in Lemon's body, call her Natsumen as usual, which flusters him as they approach their apartment. Inside, Natsumi starts making dinner while Sunao observes details of the apartment, like 2 toothbrushes, confirming 2 people live there. In Lemon's room, Sunao frantically messages Lemon, who explains that she and Natsumi met at a part-time job and are roommates. Lemon's texts continue, revealing she and Natsumi go to the same university before shamelessly asking Sunao to do her homework, which infuriates him. Natsumi calls out that dinner is ready, and Sunao despairs, worrying about acting like Lemon and being too anxious to eat. Natsumi presents a delicious-looking meal, and Sunao's worries about his appetite instantly vanish. As they eat, Sunao is amazed by how good Natsumi's cooking is, and Natsumi eagerly waits for his reaction. Natsumi is delighted by Sunao's enthusiastic compliments about her cooking, and he notes that his own cooking skills pale in comparison. Sunao offers to wash the dishes and reflects on how amazing Natsumi's cooking is, contrasting it with his own simple microwave meals. Lost in thought, Sunao accidentally drops a plate, which shatters on the floor, and Natsumi rushes over, concerned that he's cut his hand. Natsumi gets very close to inspect Sunao's hand, flustering him, and then playfully declares that his penance for breaking the plate is to give her one of his days off. Natsumi proposes they go shopping together on their day off to buy a new plate, making Sunao ecstatic as he realizes he's in love with her. Later, Sunao texts Lemon to meet the next day to find a solution, feeling desperate to get back to his own body so he can properly pursue Natsumi. Natsumi exits the shower and tells Sunao it's his turn, causing him to panic and try to refuse, which confuses her. Natsumi explains that Lemon asked her to be a shower accountability partner, just as Sunao sees a text from Lemon telling him not to shower. Sunao gets a frantic call from Lemon, who begs him not to shower while he argues that Natsumi might force him. Lemon instructs Sunao to just get in the shower with his eyes closed for a second, then rattles off a long, complicated hair care routine for him to follow. Overwhelmed by the ridiculousness of the situation, Lemon gives up, leaving Sunao frustrated before he realizes he might have to shower in her body too. After a difficult shower, Sunao emerges looking exhausted, and Natsumi, thinking he's just tired, wishes him goodnight. Lying in Lemon's bed, Sunao reflects that the day felt like they were a couple living together and feels too nervous to sleep. The next morning, an alarm goes off, and Sunao and Lemon wake up, groggy and confused, to find themselves back in their own bodies. They look at their hands in disbelief, realizing they've switched back, as the scene transitions to them meeting at a coffee house. At the coffee house, Sunao and Lemon confirm that everything is back to normal, though they don't know why they'll switched back. They discuss how they simply fell asleep and woke up in their own bodies, and Sunao admits that spending time with Natsumi wasn't all bad. Sunao decides it's too risky to talk about Natsumi and abruptly leaves for a club meeting, leaving Lemon sitting alone. Lemon sits alone, frustrated that she missed her chance to tell Sunao something important, but then thinks it might be for the best. That night, Sunao finishes a report and reflects that the body swap was just a strange mystery, relieved he can return to his normal life without Lemon. Sunao gets into bed, ready to go back to his peaceful life, but the next morning's alarm signals another change. Sunao and Lemon are once again sitting in the coffee house, both looking horrified as they realize they have swapped bodies again. They piece together the timeline, they swapped 2 days ago, changed back yesterday, and swapped again today, leading them to fear it's a recurring pattern. Sunao and Lemon agree to set some ground rules to handle their recurring body swapping, starting with sharing information about their lives to keep it a secret. They discuss their apartments and roommates, and Lemon apologizes for not telling Sunao about Natsumi sooner, asking how his experience at her place was. Sunao is shocked to learn Lemon already knew he was in a club with Natsumi, and they both become flustered when they think about Natsumi and Lemon bathing together. Sunao and Lemon agree to a new rule: no bathing or showering in each other's bodies. Lemon then asks Sunao to come over since Natsumi won't be home. Sunao agrees to give Lemon a tour of her own apartment. Standing outside, they plan to start with her room, as Sunao has confirmed Natsumi will be out. Just as they enter, Natsumi unexpectedly returns home, shocking them both before she slams the door shut in confusion, leaving them panicking on the floor. Sunao and Lemon hide, realizing Natsumi must have come back for something she forgot. They know they're in trouble, but it's too late as Natsumi enters the room. Natsumi finds Lemon and Akiyoshi together and asks why he is there. Sunao, in Lemon's body, nervously says he's visiting, and Natsumi questions how they know each other. Lemon, in Sunao's body, throws her arm around Sunao and declares that they are childhood friends, much to Natsumi's delight and Sunao's surprise. Natsumi, who just returned for her wallet, tells them to have fun before asking Sunao about their plans for next weekend, and Sunao realizes she means their movie date. After Natsumi leaves, Sunao frantically checks his calendar and realizes with horror that his movie date with her is scheduled for a day when he'll be in Lemon's body. Sunao collapses in despair, lamenting that he can't go on his date with Natsumi while in Lemon's body, effectively ruining his big chance. Sunao realizes he can simply reschedule his date with Natsumi, so he catches up with her and proposes the idea. Sunao apologizes to Natsumi and asks to reschedule their movie date, and she cheerfully agrees, pulling out her calendar to find a new time. Looking at the calendar, Sunao realizes all his free days are body swap days, and the movie leaves theaters soon, making him panic that she'll cancel. Natsumi suggests that it might be best to cancel their plans, which devastates Sunao as he walks away, but she calls out to him. Natsumi tells Sunao he looks sad and says that if he really wants to go, they should find a way to make it work, much to his relief. Sunao bows deeply at the coffee shop table, begging Lemon to pretend to be him and go on the movie date with Natsumi in his place. Lemon agrees to go on the date for him, and Sunao explains that the movie is Green Flash 2, a sequel to a film she hasn't seen. Sunao panics, realizing Lemon won't understand the sequel and might fall asleep, but Lemon reassures him she'll just read a plot summary to prepare. Sunao decides the summary isn't enough and hands Lemon his phone, telling her it's study time because he has rented the first Green Flash for her to watch. Lemon visits Sunao's apartment to watch the movie, and Sunao glumly notes that the first girl in his apartment is his ex. As they get ready to watch, Lemon asks about the movie's plot, and Sunao gets extremely excited, passionately explaining the story and his love for it. Lemon smiles, realizing Sunao has always been more into movies than she is. He mentions watching movies with Natsumi, calling it the perfect home date, before they start the film. While Sunao is out of the room, Lemon panics, realizing she's essentially on a home date with her ex for the first time since their breakup. Remembering Sunao's excited expression as he talked about the movie, Lemon thinks about how he hasn't changed and admits to herself that she can't help her feelings. Hugging a pillow on the couch, Lemon confesses to herself, "I still love him," just as Sunao returns from the kitchen holding a package. Sunao returns to find Lemon blushing and asks if she's okay. She quickly covers by complimenting his pillow, and he confusedly agrees to start the movie. As they watch the movie, Sunao feels a sense of weirdness and familiarity, noticing how focused Lemon is on the screen. Sunao has a flashback to his childhood, remembering how he and Lemon used to watch movies together on his couch all the time. Sunao recalls a childhood memory of him and Lemon watching a movie, both completely engrossed. Remembering when they first started dating, Sunao thinks about how Lemon wanted to know everything he liked, but now she feels like a different person. After the movie ends, Lemon stretches and exclaims how amazing it was, and Sunao thinks that some things about her haven't changed. Lemon tells Sunao that a movie he likes has to be good, which makes him blush intensely. Lemon offers to make coffee, and Sunao internally panics about her potential feelings, causing him to blush so much that she gets embarrassed too. While they drink coffee, Sunao gives Lemon a long list of instructions for her date with Natsumi, but Lemon says she's an expert at not getting caught. Lemon explains that she and Natsumi met working at a cafe in high school and decided to get an apartment together after Lemon got into university. Lemon declares that Natsumi is her best friend, leaving Sunao in a state of shock as he realizes he has a crush on his ex's best friend. As Lemon leaves, Sunao gives her last-minute instructions, but after she's gone, he collapses in anxiety, second-guessing his decision to trust her. Lemon arrives at her apartment and is greeted by Natsumi, who asks where she's been. Lemon nervously says she was just visiting someone. Lemon sits on her bed, thinking about how close she came to getting caught, and then reflects on Natsumi and Sunao going on a movie date together. Lemon thinks about the date, while Sunao works furiously at his desk to create the perfect date plan for Lemon to follow in his place. On the day of the date, Lemon, in Sunao's body, meets up with Natsumi, who is excited for their outing. Sunao, disguised and hiding, confronts Lemon and tells her he plans to watch them all day to make sure she doesn't mess up. Sunao hands Lemon a thick binder, revealing a meticulously detailed multi-plan flowchart for the entire date, much to her shock. Lemon is appalled by the massive plan, calling it crap, and argues with Sunao that it's too much work for a simple movie date. Sunao tearfully begs Lemon to follow the plan, reminding her of her promise, and she reluctantly agrees as he runs off before Natsumi arrives. Lemon, holding the thick stack of plans, decides she can't be bothered and tosses the entire binder into a recycling bin. Lemon meets Natsumi at the station, while Sunao watches from a bush, relieved she found the spot, but feeling like something is off. Sunao watches Natsumi arrive and is captivated by her appearance, while Lemon greets her, officially starting the date. Hiding in the bushes, Sunao thinks Lemon and Natsumi look like a couple and excitedly snaps pictures with his phone, though he can't hear them. Sunao mentally reviews his lunch plan, but is horrified to hear Lemon ask Natsumi what she wants to eat, realizing she has abandoned his instructions. Natsumi enthusiastically agrees with Lemon's suggestion of rice, and Sunao mentally scolds Lemon for not being suave, concluding she threw his plans away. Lemon suggests a place she found on Instagram, and Natsumi is impressed. From the bushes, Sunao is annoyed that Lemon is improvising. Lemon calls the restaurant and secures a reservation, impressing Natsumi. Sunao is shocked, admitting she's handling the date like a pro. As they walk to the restaurant, Natsumi says she's glad they decided on a place so quickly. Sunao, following them, feels conflicted about them going off script. Natsumi mentions that she's usually the one to take charge when her friends are indecisive, and Sunao thinks to himself that Lemon is the exact same way. Natsumi tells Lemon she enjoys hanging out with her because she's decisive, which surprises Lemon before she speculates that they're similar because they grew up together. Convinced Lemon can't handle the date, Sunao peeks into the restaurant, only to see her and Natsumi being served amazing-looking food. From a nearby table, Sunao watches Lemon and Natsumi enjoy their meal and has to admit that, despite ignoring his plans, Lemon did a good job. Sunao, in disguise, sits in the movie theater, sighing with relief but too stressed to focus, hoping Lemon doesn't fall asleep while Lemon and Natsumi look excited. As the credits roll, Sunao, now completely captivated by the film, thinks to himself that it was incredible, far better than he expected even with the great reviews. Continuing to marvel at the movie, Sunao thinks about the amazing cast, the plot, and how glad he is that he rewatched the first film, savoring the post-movie high. Snapping out of his movie-induced bliss, Sunao remembers his mission and quickly leaves the theater, spotting Lemon and Natsumi in the lobby happily discussing how great the movie was. Following behind them, Sunao listens as Natsumi mentions her favorite scene and is relieved when Lemon enthusiastically agrees, proving she stayed awake. As they continue walking and talking, Sunao is impressed by Lemon's insightful comments about the movie's themes and feels relieved that the date seems to be going well. Lemon stops to look at a women's clothing store, causing Sunao to panic from his hiding spot, worried she'll act uncharacteristically and arouse Natsumi's suspicion. Lemon gasps, momentarily forgetting she's in Sunao's body, and quickly recovers by asking Natsumi if she sees something she likes in the store window to avoid suspicion. Lemon tells Natsumi that the clothes would look nice on her and suggests she try them on, much to Sunao's silent panic and Natsumi's surprise. As Natsumi heads to a fitting room, Lemon breathes a sigh of relief for her quick thinking, while watching Sunao also thinks it was a great recovery. Lemon suggests a skirt and blouse combination for Natsumi to try, explaining that she based the choice on a fashion magazine Natsumi reads, impressing Natsumi with her fashion knowledge. Flustered by Natsumi's question about his fashion sense, Lemon avoids answering and instead pushes a blushing Natsumi towards the fitting room to try on the clothes. After Natsumi enters the fitting room, Lemon sighs in relief. Natsumi thinks to herself that she's seeing a new side of Akiyoshi and is having a lot of fun with him. As she holds the clothes, Natsumi realizes she loves spending time with him before correcting herself that she's thinking of Lemon. Meanwhile, a disguised Sunao is cornered by a pushy store clerk. At a film club meeting, Sunao enters and greets his club members, including his friend with glasses, for their first encounter since the movie date. Natsumi approaches Sunao and thanks him for the movie date, saying she had a great time and would like to go again, though she seems nervous. Sunao questions Natsumi's subdued reaction, and after a moment of silence, she excuses herself to go get snacks for the movie. As Natsumi hurries away, Sunao watches her go, wondering if she's avoiding him, before joining his friends Kana and another club member. After the club meeting, Natsumi declines an invitation to dinner while looking at Sunao. Sunao also decides to go home, and as Natsumi leaves, she says goodbye only to him, confirming his suspicion that she's avoiding him. While eating at a ramen shop, Sunao's friend bluntly states that Natsumi is obviously avoiding him, which Sunao tearfully acknowledges, wondering why. Sunao's friend notes that he thought Sunao was the closest to Natsumi, and Sunao explains that they more or less went on a date, which only confuses his friend. His friend declares that if a girl is distant after a date, it can only mean Sunao messed up so badly that she now hates him, which sends Sunao into a state of shock. Sunao denies screwing up the date, but his friend speculates that he must have crossed a line, then goes on a tangent about how trendy Instagram restaurants are a recipe for making a girl hate you. Sunao clarifies that they didn't go to an Instagram restaurant, though he planned to. Frustrated, he wonders why she's avoiding him while his friend tells him to give up and move on. Sunao argues that he can't just abandon love, but his friend calls his pursuit irrational and tells him to cry on the shoulder of a chick flick expert instead. Remembering his painful breakup with Lemon, Sunao explains that he prefers to keep his love life private and asks his friend not to tell anyone in the club, which his friend agrees to. The friend calls Sunao's stubborn pursuit of Natsumi depressing, while Sunao insists that they don't know for sure if she hates him yet. In Lemon's apartment, Sunao in her body is greeted by Natsumi, who offers him coffee. He notes she isn't acting weird, which makes him think she really does hate him. Sunao decides to probe for information, asking Natsumi if anything weird happened at university, but she says no, leaving him at a loss for how to continue the conversation naturally. Sunao blurts out a question about Akiyoshi, causing Natsumi to take her coffee in shock. She checks if he is okay before asking him to repeat what he said. Natsumi tells Sunao, in Lemon's body, that he and Akiyoshi seem pretty close, making Sunao blush and stammer that it's normal for childhood friends. Natsumi bluntly asks if they are dating, causing Sunao to panic, deny it, and spill his coffee everywhere. As Sunao cleans up the spill, he insists he was just surprised by the question. Natsumi says, "So you aren't dating?" with a thoughtful expression. After Sunao leaves to get ready for class, Natsumi thinks to herself that she can't read Lemon's face, but concludes that she and Akiyoshi are not dating. Sunao pieces together the situation. Natsumi is distant with him, but normal with Lemon. He suddenly realizes with horror that maybe Natsumi has a crush on Lemon. Sunao imagines a scenario where Natsumi, in love with Lemon, saw him as a rival and sized him up on their movie outing, concluding she's drawn battle lines against him. Lemon, in Sunao's body, walks to campus, complaining that the body swapping is forcing her to attend his mandatory classes, messing up their plans to stay home on swap days. Lemon is greeted by Suzuka, Sunao's friend, who asks if he's patched things up, confusing Lemon as she finally remembers Suzuka's name. Suzuka explains that Natsumi wouldn't look at Sunao the day before, and Lemon wonders if they had a fight. Suzuka says Natsumi will probably get over it and leaves for class. Lemon immediately calls a startled Sunao, asking if he fought with Natsumi. Sunao denies it and says it's none of her business, while Lemon insists Natsumi never gets mad. Lemon tells Sunao to apologize before hanging up for class. She thinks to herself that she can't say the real reason she's upset. She doesn't want her crush fighting with her best friend. Panicked, Lemon considers that if Natsumi likes Lemon and Lemon likes her back, she would be getting in the way of their relationship. In a school cafeteria, Sunao tells his friend Suzuka that he has realized he's just in the way because Natsumi and Lemon probably like each other. Suzuka asks Sunao what happened, and he poetically declares he's a pest in a beautiful field of sapphic lilies, which only confuses his friend. Sunao tries to explain the situation to a skeptical Suzuka, starting with the fact that Natsumi's roommate is his ex-girlfriend. Sunao continues, explaining his theory that Natsumi is in love with his ex, and his ex is in love with Natsumi. Suzuka thinks it's ridiculous, and that they're just friends. Suzuka points out that if Natsumi already had a crush, it doesn't make sense for her to have gone on a date with Sunao, who is stumped. Suzuka advises him to calm down. Sunao explains to a confused Suzuka that he can only discuss his love life every other day, referencing his body swap schedule. Later that night, he wonders if his theory is wrong. Lying in bed, Sunao sees a new social media post from Lemon's account showing a selfie of her and Natsumi captioned, "We went on a date." He is horrified and screenshots it. Lemon wakes up as Sunao's narration concludes that to make Natsumi happy, he must stop the body swap. Natsumi cheerfully greets Lemon and asks her to help bake bread. While Natsumi bakes, Sunao, in Lemon's body, sighs, feeling guilty for tricking Natsumi into spending time with him instead of her crush. Natsumi tells him not to stress out. Natsumi asks if his sigh is about his love life, speculating he might have a new crush. A flustered Sunao tries to deny it, realizing Natsumi has hit the nail on the head. Panicked that Natsumi is about to confess to Lemon, Sunao realizes that if he confirms he has a new crush, Natsumi might give up on her feelings. Sunao decides to be mysterious and tells Natsumi it's a secret for now. He thinks to himself that he can't break her heart and will tell her the truth eventually. Sunao decides to be patient for Lemon's sake, but is confused when Natsumi offers to be a shoulder to cry on and listen to his love problems. Confused why Natsumi would offer love advice to her crush, Sunao offers his own advice before leaving for class, now suspecting Natsumi's crush isn't Lemon after all. Alone, Natsumi sighs, thinking it's a shame Lemon has a new crush because she wanted to ask her for advice about Sunao, but she's too embarrassed to ask. Natsumi sighs again, thinking about how awkward it would be to ask a younger person for dating advice and imagining Lemon scolding her for avoiding Sunao. Natsumi dreads the next day's club meeting. She looks at her phone and sees a group chat notification alongside an ad titled, "I avoided the guy I like and now he hates me." Natsumi sits bolt upright in bed, shocked by what she sees on her phone. The last panel shows her looking determined, saying, "Morning Akiyoshi." Sunao is shocked when Natsumi cheerfully greets him, and he realizes she is acting normally towards him again. Natsumi apologizes to Sunao for having to leave, and as she walks away, she thinks to herself that she's relieved he doesn't hate her. Sunao, overjoyed, realizes his theory about Natsumi and his ex was wrong, and Suzuka reminds him that she wouldn't have gone on a date with him if she hated him. Sunao declares the crisis averted, but Suzuka warns him not to come crying to him again before pointing out that his phone is blowing up. Sunao checks his phone and is shocked to see messages from Lemon asking for help because she has signed up for a beauty pageant, while Natsumi reflects on how nervous she was talking to him. A flashback to junior high school shows Lemon getting a desirable seat number, only to be approached by a classmate who wants to swap. The classmate begs Lemon to switch seats with her, and Lemon kindly agrees, handing over her ticket. A montage shows that Lemon was known for being a kind team player who got along with everyone, but in reality, she was a pushover. The narration explains that at graduation, people realize their mistakes, Sunao is seen laughing with a friend, while Lemon takes a selfie with another girl. A full-page panel shows Lemon looking over her shoulder at Sunao with a troubled expression during the graduation ceremony. A montage shows Lemon deciding to change by being more assertive in various school situations. As the narrator explains, it takes a strong person to learn from their mistakes. A full-page spread shows a confident, transformed Lemon, with narration stating she's no longer a pushover and now says what she wants. In her room, Lemon tries on new clothes, happy with her new style and reflecting on how she used to only wear what her grandmother liked. Lemon thinks about how it's more fun to wear what she wants, but feels sad that changing her style doesn't fix her past mistakes. While thinking about making things right with Sunao, Lemon is ambushed by her friend Kanade, who dramatically declares she needs her. Kanade frantically explains that they need Lemon's help with preparations for the upcoming school festival and hands her a flyer. Lemon looks at a flyer for the Miss Tato beauty pageant as Kanade explains the committee she's on is in charge of running it. Kanade explains that the freshmen they scouted for the pageant backed out to study abroad, so they are desperately looking for a replacement. Kanade begs Lemon to enter the pageant, and the scene flashes forward to Sunao reacting with disbelief as Lemon tells him the story. Lemon recalls refusing Kanade's request, thinking her new, assertive self should say no, but the committee members were in despair. The committee members bowed and begged Lemon to help them just this once, which leads back to the present day in the coffee house. Lemon cheerfully announces to a horrified Sunao that she decided to run for Miss Tato, and he yells, "Hell no!" Sunao argues with Lemon about the body swap, but she explains she couldn't refuse a friend in trouble, then concedes he'll be in her body half the time. Sunao calls Lemon a pushover, but she angrily denies it, insisting she's changed and deserves credit, though she admits she doesn't want to do the pageant. Sunao brings up the potential for a swimsuit category, which Lemon dismisses as outdated, and she accuses him of being a pervert for thinking about it. Sunao tells Lemon she needs to cancel, reminding her that she asked him for a favor to act like her and not make Natsumi suspicious. Sunao guilt trips Lemon by tearfully listing all the things he does for her, which causes her to immediately agree to do the pageant. Lemon explains the pre-festival publicity campaign for the pageant, which includes photo shoots, events, and a radio show appearance. Lemon gets fired up and declares that if they are going to compete, they might as well win, much to Sunao's horror. Lemon thinks to herself that she feels bad for dragging Sunao into this, but she needs to show him that she has truly changed. Lemon thinks to herself that she'll do whatever it takes to show Sunao she's changed, while Sunao panics and declares he can't go through with the pageant. Sunao, in Lemon's body, is volunteering at a local market with the other pageant contestants, handing out flyers to garner off-campus votes. 3 other contestants approach Sunao, greeting Nishikawa and complimenting her looks, which causes Sunao to internally panic, realizing they are his competition. The other contestants explain that the pageant is a big deal because talent agencies scout the event, and each reveals her dream of becoming a model, newscaster, or idol. The lead contestant intensely tells Sunao that the pageant is a big deal for them and, grabbing his hands, squeezes them tightly as she wishes him, "May the best girl win." Shaken by the intense encounter, Sunao walks away, thinking the other contestants are hardcore and deciding it's best to stay out of their way to avoid trouble. Sunao decides to move to a less crowded area to hand out flyers and avoid the other intense contestants, hoping to just get through the day. While handing out flyers, Sunao freezes in shock when he comes face to face with his friend Suzuka and wonders what he is doing there. Thinking quickly, Sunao hands Suzuka a flyer, believing his friend doesn't know Lemon and won't care about the pageant, so he'll just leave. To Sunao's horror, Suzuka becomes interested in the raffle after hearing about the grand prize of a cinema pass and asks to sign up for the event. Kanade tells Lemon they'll need her for a group photo after the stamp rally. Suzuka overhears Sunao's sigh of despair and asks if she's alright. Suzuka asks why she signed up if she doesn't want to do it, and Sunao vaguely explains it's a favor and that he's in over his head after meeting the competition. As Sunao says he won't win anyway, a flashback shows a nerdy student being asked for a favor, while Sunao tells Suzuka that he's not trying to win. Suzuka declares that competing in the Miss Campus pageant has no real value and asks what Lemon thinks she will gain from winning such a worthless title. Suzuka passionately rants that beauty pageants are meaningless because a person's true nature is on the inside, grabbing Sunao's arm and startling him and onlookers. Continuing his rant, Suzuka calls the pageant crap, shocking Sunao. He then calms down and offers Lemon some advice on how to win. Suzuka advises against baring her soul to strangers, as it could hurt her image, then points out the other contestants who are busy taking selfies. Suzuka complains that the other contestants act like entitled popular kids, and a flashback reveals he was a victim of such people in high school. After his rant, Suzuka apologizes, admitting that he's self-aware enough to know he's jaded, which surprises Sunao. Sunao calls Suzuka bro, causing his friend to react with confusion as Sunao thinks to himself about how his friend has always had spicy opinions. Remembering his own rants, Sunao gets angry and calls Suzuka a hypocrite for judging the other contestants by their looks, starting an argument. As their argument escalates, Sunao realizes he's reverted to his usual blunt personality and apologizes, saying he's just easy to talk to. Sunao compliments Suzuka, calling him a good man and saying he likes his honesty. Suzuka becomes suspicious, wondering if Lemon is trying to scam him. Flustered and unable to explain he's actually Sunao, he tells Suzuka that he's easy to talk to because he's special, which shocks Suzuka. Panicking about what he just said, Sunao watches as Suzuka begins sweating profusely. Just then, Kanade appears and Sunao rushes to help her with a box. Sunao catches a falling box, and Kanade thanks him, warning him that the boxes are heavy, which Sunao confirms as he struggles to hold one. Suzuka offers to carry a box for Sunao, and Kanade, seeing the gesture, declares that she now understands that Lemon is beautiful both inside and out. Kanade gets uncomfortably close to Lemon to ask what she meant by special, but Sunao panics and Kanade steps between him and Suzuka. Kanade explains that for safety reasons, contestants can't interact one-on-one with the public, and then apologizes to Suzuka while giving him a flyer to support Lemon. No summary available for this page. Kanade invites Suzuka to the school festival to vote for Lemon, and he eagerly agrees, promising to make sure Lemon wins, which shocks the disguised Sunao. Kanade celebrates Suzuka's support, while Sunao is stunned by his friend's sudden sparkling demeanor and wonders when he became like this. Back in his own body, Sunao struggles in class, reflecting on how Suzuka was acting strangely the day before when he ran into him as Lemon. At lunch, Sunao is shocked to find Suzuka's movie review account is filled with romance films and questions if he's even the same person. Suzuka passionately declares that romance movies are fantastic and everything in life stems from love, prompting a shocked Sunao to yell, "Who are you?" Suzuka asks Sunao for advice on expressing romantic interest in a girl from another university, and Sunao realizes his friend has a crush. Sunao braces himself as Suzuka pulls out his phone and shows him a picture of Lemon Nishikawa, leaving Sunao speechless with horror. Suzuka shows Sunao Lemon's pageant interview page, explaining that he met her yesterday and believes it was fate, while Sunao realizes he wrote those answers himself. Suzuka gushes about how Lemon is a beautiful person inside and out, leading a horrified Sunao to the conclusion that his friend is in love with him. While on the phone with Lemon, Sunao vaguely explains that his friend Suzuka is rooting for her, feeling unable to tell her the full story. Lemon is thrilled to hear that she has a fan and feels like a celebrity, as Sunao tells her she needs to act as if she's met Suzuka before. Sunao instructs Lemon to act like she knows Suzuka when she sees him, but their call is cut short when Natsumi enters the room. Natsumi brings Lemon ice cream and casually mentions that she knows Lemon has been busy lately preparing for the beauty pageant. Lemon shows Natsumi one of her pageant dresses, and Natsumi reveals her own plans to attend a festival were cancelled by a friend. Natsumi wonders who she can invite to the festival now that her friend cancelled, and Lemon, realizing it's a body swap day for her, gets an idea. Sunao approaches Natsumi on campus and asks if she wants to go to the Teito School Festival with him. Sunao awkwardly invites a flustered Natsumi to the festival on Sunday, and she agrees as he promises to text her the details. Natsumi comments on how tall Sunao is, which makes him flustered, and he quickly excuses himself to go to class. As Natsumi walks away, she panics about her upcoming outing with Sunao, wondering why she's so nervous about going to a festival with a friend. Natsumi walks down the street, thinking about how Sunao seems different lately, while Sunao congratulates himself on his smart idea to invite Suzuka too. On the first day of the festival, Lemon is shown being extremely popular, taking selfies with fans, getting food, and helping the committee. Lemon collapses at a table, exhausted from the day's activities, just as Kanade arrives to remind her and the other contestants about a meeting. The other contestants tell Lemon it's a shame she can't enjoy the festival due to her pageant duties, and Lemon agrees that the next day will be busy. The next day, Sunao arrives at the festival with Natsumi and Suzuka, much to Natsumi's private disappointment that it isn't just the two of them. Suzuka quietly asks Sunao if he should be there, but Sunao reassures him that it's fine since they're all friends. Sunao asks Natsumi where she wants to go, and she points to Lemon's pageant event on the festival map, saying she wants to see her. Suzuka is shocked that Natsumi knows the pageant girl, Lemon, and Natsumi cheerfully explains that they are roommates, shocking him even more. Suzuka reels from the news, and Sunao makes the situation more chaotic by announcing that Lemon is his childhood friend, shocking everyone. Suzuka confronts Sunao for not telling him such an important detail, and a blushing Sunao laughs it off before leading the group to get food. As they look for food, Natsumi processes the tangled relationships between them all before suggesting they go say hi to Lemon first. A school festival committee member checks on Lemon, who is in a pageant dress and seems unwell and nervous. Lemon complains that the corset she's wearing hurts, while other contestants discuss wedding dresses. She then gasps as Kogahara's voice calls her name. Lemon is shocked to see Kogahara arrive with Sunao and Suzuka, and Sunao tells her to stop making a scene. Lemon greets Suzuka, who looks smitten, and he explains that Sunao just told him they are childhood friends, much to her surprise. Kokahara happily remarks on her friends hitting it off. Lemon explains she has to stay for rehearsals, so Kokahara suggests the others go explore the festival. Lemon tells the group to have fun and be back for the show, but then finds herself sitting in an audience with them, wondering how she got roped into this. While watching a movie, Lemon is annoyed that Kokahara is sitting next to Sunao, then is horrified to see Kokahara fall asleep on Sunao's shoulder. Lemon shakes Sunao to try and wake Kokahara up. Suzuka notices how close she is to Sunao and thinks about how good she smells, wondering if he has a chance with her. A flustered Sunao is unable to concentrate on the movie. Afterward, Kokahara says the film was great, but Sunao admits he doesn't remember a second of it. Kokahara points out a popular stand for Nikomaki rice balls, and Sunao grabs her hand to go get some, saying they'll be right back. Lemon watches them go, internally panicking at Sunao's forwardness, and decides she needs to be careful while talking with Suzuka. Suzuka compliments Lemon's dress, clearly trying to flirt, while she internally strategizes to keep the conversation on safe topics so he doesn't ask her out. Suzuka thinks Sunao is being assertive to give him and Lemon some alone time, then directly asks a panicking Lemon if she's seeing anyone. Lemon frantically denies having a boyfriend, then tries to change the subject to cotton candy, only for the one she receives to be misshapen. Lemon exclaims she learned to make cotton candy in high school after her classmates skipped their shift, laughing about her niche skill as Suzuka watches her. Suzuka asks Lemon if she used to date Sunao, shocking her, as Kokahara's narration explains the logical deduction that led him to this conclusion. Suzuka takes Lemon's hands and confesses that he loves her, asking her to go out with him, leaving her in a state of utter shock. In line for rice balls, Natsumi thinks about how it's a long line, but at least she gets some alone time with Sunao, not knowing it's actually Lemon in his body. Lemon, in Sunao's body, worries that Natsumi will think she's a messy eater. They get their food and both think it looks delicious. While they eat on some steps, Natsumi and Lemon as Sunao both praise the food, with Natsumi remarking it's restaurant quality. Lemon as Sunao notices Natsumi has food on her face and wipes it off, causing Natsumi to blush and Lemon to panic at how cute the moment is. Natsumi feels embarrassed, but Lemon as Sunao reassures her that he loves people who enjoy their food, which makes her blush even more. Natsumi thinks he's talking about romantic love, which he clarifies he isn't. Meanwhile, Suzuka tells Sunao as Lemon that he means exactly that kind of love. Sunao, in Lemon's body, awkwardly rejects Suzuka's confession, pulling his hands away and saying it's fine, but Suzuka asks why she's turning him down. Sunao, in Lemon's body, insists there's nothing wrong with Suzuka, and that the problem is with her. When pressed for a reason, he looks conflicted. After a moment of thought, Sunao, in Lemon's body, points at himself and says, the reason he can't go out with Suzuka is because he is Sunao. Struggling to explain, Sunao, in Lemon's body, tells a confused Suzuka that he looks like Lemon but is actually Sunao on the inside due to a body swap thing. Sunao, in Lemon's body, worries he's blown it, but Suzuka angrily accuses him of making up a crazy story and asks how he'd know personal details about him. Sunao, in Lemon's body, desperately yells that it really is him, Sunao, inside Lemon's body. Suzuka pauses, then begins to question him about it. Suzuka recalls all the strange recent events. Sunao being busy every other day, his relationship with Kokahara, and his odd behavior, and finally understands. Kokahara explains to a confused Sunao and Lemon that she knows about their body-swapping secret and that she was just pretending not to know. Suzuka looks unwell as he remembers his encounter with Lemon, who is actually Sunao, while an announcer on stage declares the start of the Miss Tato pageant. Sunao, Suzuka, and Kokahara watch the pageant from the crowd, but Sunao gets separated from Kokahara and accidentally calls her Kokahara instead of her nickname, Natsumin. On stage, Lemon panics that Sunao is blowing her cover, but Sunao confronts Kokahara, asking how she knew about the body swap. She explains she figured it out. Kokahara asks what happened when Suzuka confessed to Lemon, revealing that Sunao's bizarre rejection made Suzuka realize that love isn't so bad after all. Kokahara tells Sunao that falling in love with him has made her life more fun and that she never thought she'd enjoy romance movies, but now she does. Kokahara says she's glad she fell in love, even if she's not sure if it was with Sunao or Lemon in his body, and that she has no regrets. Sunao realizes Suzuka feels the same way. Sunao apologizes for making Kokahara uncomfortable, but she says he hasn't. They both agree that love songs and stories mean more when you're in love. When Suzuka asks if Sunao has also been heartbroken, he sadly recalls his past relationship, admitting that he loved someone but ruined it because it was all his fault. A tearful Sunao tells Kokahara he's terrified of losing her again. Suzuka tells him to just ask her out as the pageant results are announced. Lemon is crowned the runner-up of the Miss Tato pageant, much to the relief of Sunao and Kokahara, who were worried about what would happen if she won. Kanade from the festival committee thanks Lemon for her help and gives her the runner-up prize, 2-for-1 tickets and a stay at a resort. Kanade tells Lemon to take whomever she wants with her, glancing towards Sunao and Suzuka, before running off and saying she expects to hear all the details later. Lemon declares that since she and Sunao won the prize together, they have to go together, causing Sunao to panic at the thought of being alone in a hotel with her. As Lemon holds up the envelope, Sunao notices there's a second pair of tickets inside, meaning that 4 people can go to the resort. Sunao enthusiastically suggests that all 4 of them go together, which relieves him and Lemon but disappoints Kogahara and Suzuka, who had hoped for a date. Lemon looks at her phone while waiting for her friends, who arrive and apologize for being late. A friend gives Lemon notes for an upcoming test. Thanking her profusely, they complain about their schedules and invite her to dinner, but she declines due to other plans. Lemon walks down the street thinking about her final report and enters a cafe, reflecting that her plan might work out after all. Lemon greets Sunao in the cafe and finds him looking dead inside. He explains that he just found out his finals are all projects and he's totally screwed. After calming down, Sunao feels better and says he's ready for dessert. He and Lemon confirm that the only final they have on a body swap day is their German exam. Sunao and Lemon compare their German final exams. Sunao's looks incredibly difficult with listening and grammar sections, while Lemon's looks much easier. Sunao panics again at the difficulty of the test, but Lemon reassures him that they can study together since there's still time. While eating cake, Lemon realizes Sunao's problem with German is a lack of aptitude, not motivation. Sunao complains that his class was easy, while Lemon mentions complex grammar. Lemon explains that her professor is notoriously strict and known as the Grade Reaper, while Sunao's friends ask why he chose German, and he admits he had no reason. When Lemon asks Sunao why he's studying German, he says it's for the same reason as her, no reason, just because he thought it was cool. He then asks for help with his homework. A professor announces the final is in 2 days, and Lemon in her own body feels stressed, as she has little time to study and a report due. A familiar-looking older man greets Lemon and asks about her German final. Causing her to panic as she realizes he must be a professor, she decides to just smile and nod. The man, Professor Tanue, asks about an assessment for an intensive German program, which confuses Lemon as she doesn't know what he's talking about. Professor Tanu praises Lemon's foresight in starting German as a freshman and mentions her plans to study abroad, which comes as a complete shock to Sunao in her body. Sunao, in Lemon's body, worries that the body swap means Lemon will fail her final exam, then wonders if she intentionally signed up for a hard class to force him to study for her. Sunao, in Lemon's body, feels guilty about his lack of studying as he heads to class. Sighing that he sucks, the professor announces he is returning the graded final exams. After the test, Lemon talks to Sunao on the phone. He says he bombed it, but she is unconcerned, planning to just beg her professor for extra credit if she fails. The professor hands Lemon her test back, revealing she got an 87 and only lost points for being too noisy. She is shocked, as a flashback shows Sunao studying intensely for her. Lemon sits in class, thinking she should treat Sunao to lunch as a thank you for his hard work, while a small panel shows him celebrating his own perfect score of 100. With finals and the pageant over, Sunao, Lemon, Kokahara, and Suzuka celebrate the start of summer break with a trip to the Wonder Pit Land amusement park. The group stops at a headwear shop, where Sunao finds a squeaky bird hat. Lemon and Kokahara think it's cute and decide to pick out a hat for Suzuka too. After trying on different hats, the group all end up with bird-themed headwear and get in line for a roller coaster, which Kokahara reveals is her first. Sunao is surprised Kokahara has never been on a roller coaster. She explains she was too short before and asks him to hold her hand if she gets scared, which irritates Lemon. As the roller coaster makes its steep initial climb, a nervous Kokahara realizes it might be too scary and calls out Akiyoshi's name. Sunao asks a shaking Kokahara if she's okay and offers to hold her hand, which makes him panic internally after she quietly agrees. Kokahara, overthinking Sunao's offer, blurts out that all 4 of them, herself, Sunao, Lemon, and Suzuka, should hold hands. Kokahara grabs everyone's hands, saying they can split the fear 4 ways, leaving a shocked Sunao and Suzuka holding hands with her and Lemon. As the coaster begins to drop, Lemon mutters that Kokahara is dense, while Kokahara looks down at her linked hands with a sparkling, happy expression. After the ride, Lemon and Kokahara are exhilarated while Sunao and Suzuka look exhausted. They walk through the park wondering what to do next. The group finds a large, creepy building and realizes it's a haunted house. Suzuka says he saw a TV special about it and that it has multiple routes. As the others check the wait time, Sunao notices Lemon isn't coming and asks if she dislikes haunted houses. She claims she's fine, but will sit this one out. The group asks Lemon if she is scared of horror, but she denies it and stubbornly insists they go on without her while she waits for the parade. Sunao, Suzuka, and Kokahara enter the haunted house, where an employee tells them to take a seat in the center of a creepy room. Moments after entering, Suzuka and Kokahara are shocked to see Sunao giving them a thumbs up as he quickly escapes through an exit door. Lemon is looking at a map when Sunao appears, startling her. He pretends he thought she had gone into the haunted house with the others. Sunao asks how Lemon knew he'd lost his phone. She correctly deduces that he left it in a locker and snuck away to find it without ruining the mood. As they walk, Lemon gushes about how she loves that Sunao is so attentive and caring, a trait he's had since they were little, and internally declares her love for him. Lemon compares Sunao to a mother, much to his confusion, and internally vows to confess how much she loves that part of him. They quickly find his phone in the locker. While looking for their friends, Sunao and Lemon spot the park mascots, Oral and Mimi, and stop to take pictures as they pose together. After rejoining the group, Lemon tells them about seeing the mascots, but hesitates to post a picture she took of just Sunao on her social media story. Lemon shows Kogohara the photos she took of the mascots, but accidentally swipes to a picture of Sunao, which Kogohara sees. Lemon nervously hides her phone, claiming it's normal to take pictures of friends, and quickly changes the subject by pointing out a ride line is moving. Suzuka watches Lemon's flustered reaction to Kogohara seeing the photo of Sunao and thinks to himself that he's figured something out. As night falls, the group walks through the park, tired but happy. Lemon and Kogohara talk about how they managed to ride the roller coaster one last time before closing. The group discusses their hotel plans, and Sunao privately confirms with Lemon that since they will be swapping bodies, they requested a room with 4 beds. Kogohara playfully kicks Lemon for still wearing her park hand stamp, and Suzuka asks when the body swap happens, which Sunao explains is done by the time they wake up. Suzuka theorizes that staying awake all night might prevent the body swap, a possibility Sunao realizes they've never considered before. At the hotel's front desk, Sunao pulls Lemon aside and nervously asks to speak with her later in private, surprising both her and Kogohara. After Kogohara gets the room key, Sunao whispers to Lemon that they will talk later, leading Lemon to wonder what serious topic requires such privacy. Lemon gets flustered while trying to buy a drink from a vending machine, wondering what Sunao could possibly want to talk to her about so seriously. Startled by Suzuka's sudden appearance, Lemon apologizes and he asks to speak with her since Sunao is presumably out of the bath as well. Kogohara leaves her room to find the vending machines and hears voices down the hall, wondering if she recognizes them. Approaching the vending machines, Kogohara overhears Suzuka asking Lemon about the day he confessed his feelings to her. Realizing she's eavesdropping on a private conversation, Kogohara quickly retreats in a panic after hearing that Suzuka had asked Lemon out. Suzuka reminds Lemon that she told him about someone she loved, and says he did the same, so she shouldn't feel awkward about it. Lemon deduces that the person Suzuka loves is Sunao, and he nervously begs her not to tell him. Lemon asks Suzuka if he still loves Sunao and wants to get back together, which makes him gasp, worried that his feelings are obvious. Suzuka explains that he can't just expect Sunao to take him back and that he needs to show him he's changed to win him over again. Lemon encourages Suzuka's plan, thinking it sounds normal, just before receiving a text from Sunao about their talk. Lemon asks Suzuka to keep their conversation secret and heads back to her room, leaving him to sigh and wish he'd been wrong about something. Lemon meets Sunao on a rooftop garden, and he apologizes for being weird earlier before asking her to sit down so they can talk. As they sit together, Sunao tells a nervous Lemon that he wants to talk about an idea that Suzuka had earlier. Sunao explains Suzuka's theory that staying awake all night might prevent the body swap, which causes Lemon to hide her face in despair at her own shallowness. Sunao and Lemon agree to stay awake, and since Kogohara is likely asleep, they decide to hang out in their room until the swap time passes. Lemon glances at Sunao and feels that at this rate she'll never be able to confess to him, resolving that she has to do something. Lemon asks Sunao if there is anyone he likes, which catches him completely off guard and makes him stammer. Sunao panics, realizing he can't tell his ex-girlfriend that he likes her roommate, while Lemon regrets her question and tries to think of a way to change the subject. Sunao awkwardly pivots to asking Lemon about college, and she tells him about a new friend before yawning, showing her exhaustion. Noticing it's almost midnight, Sunao sees that Lemon has fallen asleep on his shoulder and feels himself getting drowsy before seeing someone approaching. Kogohara peeks out of her room and finds Suzuka, who says he was wondering where Lemon and Akiyoshi had gone. Suzuka guesses they went to the convenience store, and Kogohara, noting the late hour, decides to go look for them, with Suzuka offering to join her. Kogohara accepts Suzuka's offer to come along, and as she grabs her wallet, she worries about the conversation she overheard and if Akiyoshi and Lemon are now a couple. In a flashback, Kogohara's friend Miho complains about her manager, who keeps asking about her love life and even seated her with her ex-boyfriend. The flashback continues with Miho ranting furiously about her manager's invasive behavior, saying it should be illegal for bosses to use their position to ask such personal questions. Kogohara decides not to ask about Suzuka and Lemon's conversation to avoid awkwardness, giving a confused Suzuka a thumbs up as he arrives. Kogohara gives Suzuka a sparkly smile and says she's rooting for him, confusing him further. He then looks out at the night and says they've found them. Suzuka and Kogohara find Sunao and Lemon fast asleep on a rooftop bench, with Suzuka muttering about Sunao's failed plan to stay awake. Kogohara looks concerned as she sees Sunao and Lemon sleeping on each other's shoulders, while Suzuka wonders where she went. After failing to wake them, Kogohara suggests she and Suzuka give the sleeping Sunao and Lemon piggyback rides back to their room. The next day, at a fast food restaurant, Sunao, in Lemon's body, tells Suzuka that their plan was a bust and they still don't know the cause of the body swap. Sunao, in Lemon's body, blames his falling asleep on a side effect of the swap and thanks Suzuka for carrying him back, while Suzuka asks why he's out in public. Sunao, as Lemon, claims he can only relax around Suzuka, and that eating out is one of his rules, then tells a startled Suzuka that he's bad at pretending to be Lemon. Suzuka criticizes Sunao's in Lemon's body mannerisms, and tells him his facial expressions are all wrong and need to be softer. Sunao, in Lemon's body, tries to make a cute face, which Suzuka approves of, much to Sunao's annoyance at being tested. Sunao, in Lemon's body, complains that he's tired of the body swapping, and Suzuka suggests the fictional trope of bumping heads to switch back. Suzuka reconsiders the head bumping idea, worried it might hurt Lemon's body, then seriously suggests Sunao hit his own head while he's in her body. As Sunao and Suzuka leave the restaurant, a young woman with reddish-brown hair is shown sitting at another table, smiling to herself. The woman, Reika Asagi, says to herself, "I totally called it," as an editor's note questions who the eavesdropper is. At a bakery, the manager thanks Reika for filling in on the morning shift, and Reika says she was happy to help. Reika declines a staff meal, saying she has an errand on campus, which surprises her manager since it's summer break. As Reika leaves the bakery, her manager and a coworker comment on what a polite, hardworking, and smart employee she is. A glum woman in a leopard print outfit, whom Sunao calls Prez, complains about having to make him carry all the trash. The Prez insists she is depressed because no one else volunteered to clean the club building, and Sunao points out it's because she doesn't have many friends. The Prez tells Sunao about a disastrous date with a girl from a dating app who made her spend all her money at an expensive bar. The Prez warns a skeptical Sunao that dating apps are scams and pretty girls will trick him, saying she can tell he's already using one. The Prez gets emotional and accuses Sunao of being a money grubber, but he calms her down by offering to treat her to lunch so she can vent. The Prez clarifies that the best she can afford to treat him to is udon broth with no toppings. Later, Sunao wonders why it took them 2 hours to eat. Sunao walks alone, thinking about dating apps, and decides against them since he already likes Kogahara. He is then stopped by Reika Asagi. Reika asks Sunao for help finding a cafe called Omua, showing him a map on her phone, but he says he has never heard of it. Seeing Reika on the verge of tears, Sunao offers to help her find the cafe, and she immediately brightens up and thanks him effusively. After Sunao leads her to the cafe, Reika insists on buying him a coffee to thank him for saving her from being lost. Remembering his Prez's warning, Sunao becomes paranoid about Reika's intentions but accepts her offer for coffee after deciding the cafe looks legitimate. Inside the cafe, Reika asks Sunao a series of personal questions, making him feel like he is being interrogated. Reika introduces herself, and Sunao feels guilty for being suspicious, but his paranoia returns when she asks about his school, only to call it a secret. Reika insists on thanking Sunao properly for his help, but he repeatedly turns down her offers to meet up for lunch. Paranoid that Reika is a stranger with bad intentions, Sunao tries to get away by lying about having a curfew, but she asks for his contact information. After reluctantly exchanging contact info with Reika, Sunao tries to reassure himself that she's not a threat, until he remembers his flimsy curfew excuse. Sunao panicked in the bathroom, convinced he's just been scammed, after realizing his curfew excuse wouldn't make sense for a college student living alone. When Sunao tries to leave the cafe, Reika grabs him and loudly begs him not to go, apologizing for not having enough money, which confuses him. While fleeing from Reika, Sunao runs directly into Lemon, who is shocked and asks why he is running and what's going on. Lemon and Sunao are both shocked to realize that they each know Reika, who seems flustered by their unexpected reunion. A woman with short, dark hair and a shoulder bag grabs Sunao's arm from behind and announces that she thinks she is in love with him. Lemon freezes in shock, struggling to process the woman's sudden declaration of love for Sunao, whom she just met. Sunao panics, convinced Reika's love confession is part of a badger game, Scam, where her tough boyfriend will appear and demand money. Lemon tells Reika to let go of Sunao so they can leave. As they walk away, Reika cheerfully says goodbye to Lemon. As he and Lemon leave, Sunao realizes he forgot to ask Reika to delete his number, and Lemon demands to know what just happened. Sunao, shocked that Lemon knows Reika, learns they took a semi-class together but don't know each other well, making him more suspicious. Sunao explains that he met Reika right before Lemon arrived when she asked for directions, but Lemon is highly skeptical that she fell in love so quickly. Lemon asks what kind of person Reika is, and Sunao recalls her being nice and hardworking during a group project they did together. Sunao bluntly tells a worried Lemon that he believes Reika is a scammer who is involved in some sort of grift. Sunao explains his theory that Reika was roped into a scam by an older student, but Lemon is skeptical, though she agrees Reika's behavior is strange. As Sunao tries to hurry Lemon away, she is shocked to see him and Reika exiting a building that houses a maid cafe. Lemon wonders why they would go to a maid cafe on a first meeting and decides that since Sunao can't help, she will have to ask Reika about it herself. At her empty university campus, Lemon searches for Reika but can't find her. Later, her roommate asks where the laundry detergent is. At home, Sunao gets a call from Reika and debates blocking her number, ultimately deciding to just ignore her calls for now. Sunao decides his best plan is to ignore Reika, but as he leaves a convenience store, he hears her call his name. Reika confronts Sunao, saying she was worried when he didn't answer her calls, and then insists on walking home with him since they are going the same way. As they walk, Reika remarks that it's almost like they are coming home from a date, causing a paranoid Sunao to internally deny it. Sunao complains to Suzuka that a girl who claims to like him keeps coincidentally running into him everywhere, and now he is afraid to go outside. Sunao hides behind Suzuka, complaining that he's drowning in women, and Suzuka dryly remarks that he sounds like a rom-com protagonist before Sunao runs home. Just as Suzuka is leaving, Reika approaches him and, after confirming he is Sunao's friend, asks who he is. Reika introduces herself as Sunao's friend and explains that since Sunao talks about Suzuka so much, she wanted to ask him something about Sunao. Suzuka is suspicious of Reika's motives for asking him about Sunao, and when she tries to ask a question, he bluntly says, "I never said you could." After being shut down by Suzuka, Reika smiles, says never mind, and cheerfully waves goodbye as she leaves through a ticket gate. Sunao panics at home, convinced Reika is trying to box him in by targeting his friends and getting his personal information for a scam. Wondering what Reika wants, Sunao dismisses the possibility that she actually has a crush on him and continues to spiral into paranoia about her motives. In bed, Lemon worries about Sunao and Reika, then gets flustered thinking about her own love for him, while Natsumi overhears strange noises from her room. In a flashback to high school, Natsumi narrates that romance was something she saw as happening to other people, and she didn't mind not having a boyfriend. The flashback continues with Natsumi recalling how she enjoyed romance movies and hoped she would fall in love one day. A male classmate named Hirata confesses to Natsumi in an empty classroom, surprising her. He explains he started liking her after seeing her at a student council meeting. Hirata explains he was impressed after seeing her play soccer. Later, Natsumi tells Lemon at their cafe job that she plans to turn him down. Natsumi tells Lemon her friends are encouraging her to date Hirata, saying she might grow to like him, but she feels bad turning him down. Lemon asks Natsumi a series of hypothetical questions about physical intimacy with Hirata, which makes Natsumi realize she wouldn't be comfortable with it. Lemon advises Natsumi that it's important to think about the meaning of a relationship rather than just going along with it, and Natsumi thanks her Mistress Love Guru. Natsumi teases Lemon before saying she's had enough of roaming for now, a statement that confuses Lemon. In the present, Natsumi looks at old high school graduation photos on her phone, reminiscing about the past and wondering what happened to Hirata. Natsumi recalls Sunao's past compliments and wonders about dating as she watches other couples, thinking she still doesn't understand it. Natsumi arrives at her apartment building just as Sunao's club prez confronts him, angrily asking why he didn't tell her he had a girlfriend. Sunao's club members bombard him with questions about the girl he was with, whom they assume is his girlfriend, and accuse him of being inappropriate in public. As Kokohara enters the club room, Sunao sees her arrival as perfect timing, while the prez and another member despair that he's found happiness without them. Sunao tries to get his club members to stop talking about his supposed girlfriend, but they continue to tease him and ask for an introduction. Sunao finally snaps, yelling at his club prez and wishing she gets ripped off, leaving the others confused by his outburst. Kokohara runs away from the club room, thinking she can't stand to be around the others talking about Sunao's new girlfriend before Sunao calls out to her. Sunao catches up to Kokohara and frantically tries to explain that the club members misunderstood the situation with the girl. Sunao clarifies that the girl isn't his girlfriend and that the prez just assumed, which makes Kokohara wonder why he ran after her to explain. Sunao tells Kokohara he just doesn't want her to think he's taken, then immediately panics that his words sounded like a confession. As Sunao runs back to the club room to clear things up, Kokohara processes his words, realizing he likes her, but tells herself not to get carried away. Sunao resolves to deal with Reika. While at their apartment, Kokohara is concerned as a distracted Lemon adds a large amount of salt to her drink. At a park, Reika is on a swing, looking at her phone and expressing surprise that Sunao has messaged her. Sunao meets Reika at the park and bluntly tells her to leave him alone, saying she's causing him problems. She asks if he still thinks she's a scammer. Sunao says he doesn't care about a potential scam and reveals he loves someone else, asking Reika to stop contacting him. Reika asks Sunao about his crush, and when he says he wants to be her boyfriend, she questions if he thinks it's okay to do whatever he wants to get her. Confused, Sunao says that his crush's feelings matter most, but Reika scoffs and asks if he really expects her to listen to his bullshit. Reika angrily tells Sunao he's done enough and accuses him of acting holier than thou, then shocks him by revealing she knows he wants Lemon to take him back. Reika confronts a confused Sunao, accusing him of blackmailing Lemon. Reika calls Sunao pathetic and says she figured out he's using magic or technology to swap bodies with Lemon. Sunao panics about how Reika knows his secret, while she impatiently dismisses his attempts to feign confusion. As Sunao continues to stammer, Reika sighs in frustration and says she will break the situation down for him. Reika states that it's obvious Sunao and Lemon are swapping bodies and that he is the cause. Reika accuses a bewildered Sunao of knowing how to swap bodies, forcing Lemon into it and blackmailing her with threats. Reika presents a crude drawing illustrating her theory that Sunao is forcing Lemon to swap because he likes her, and declares his reign of terror is over. Sunao admits that only the first part of her theory is correct, causing Reika to angrily demand which part that is. Sunao explains that neither he nor Lemon knows how or why they are swapping, but Reika looks unconvinced and falls silent. Reika questions Sunao to confirm he doesn't have a superpower or isn't abusing the swap to get closer to Lemon, calling him a massive piece of shit. As a flustered Reika laments that her plans are ruined, Sunao realizes her supposed love for him was part of her scheme. Reika denies having ever liked Sunao and clarifies that she was just trying to get him as far away from Lemon as she could. Reika declares that her reason for everything is that Lemon is the cutest in the galaxy, which horrifies Sunao, who thinks she's nuts. A flashback begins, showing Reika Asagi in April on the day of her university entrance ceremony, nervously looking at a stack of papers. In the flashback, a flustered Reika struggles with all the documents she's been given, as a kind blonde girl asks if she needs help. The blonde girl helps Reika sort through her papers to find the one she needs, much to Reika's flustered gratitude. The blonde girl gives Reika directions to the student ID booth before waving goodbye and heading to the graduation ceremony. Reika realizes the chance meeting with the cutest girl she's ever met has changed her life, then panics that she forgot to ask her name. Determined, Reika frantically searches social media for the girl by looking at new student follows and eventually finds Lemon Nishikawa. Reika plans to befriend Lemon, but before she can get close, she sees Lemon in a cafe with a boy she doesn't recognize, who is Sunao. Reika eavesdrops on Sunao and Lemon's conversation, wondering who he is, and watches with disappointment as he leaves the cafe. Reika becomes suspicious as she repeatedly sees Lemon and Sunao together, always whispering to each other. Reika recalls a time she saw Lemon and Natsumi together, and noted that Lemon seemed unusually calm and not in her typical hurry. On a women-only train car, Reika recalls seeing Lemon holding something and looking panicked, which confirmed her instincts that something was wrong. Reika reflects on her notes, realizing Lemon wasn't acting like her usual perfect self on days she was with Akiyoshi. While studying, Reika considers the fictional trope of body swapping and realizes that while it's a long shot, it would explain everything. Reika's deduction leads her to conclude that Akiyoshi has the ability to control Lemon's body and is blackmailing her into swapping. Reika formulates a plan to save Lemon by making herself so irresistible that Akiyoshi will forget about Lemon entirely. Back in the present, Sunao points out the flaws in her logic, and a flustered Reika admits her plan was to make him fall for her to outclass Lemon. After Sunao says he understands, Reika compares her plan to choosing cheap bean sprouts over steak out of desperation, then angrily says he ruined it. Reika gets defensive and complains that her plan to make Sunao fall for her failed because he wasn't gullible enough and she saw him with Lemon. Sunao and Reika are shown yelling at each other in a park as a child, and their parents sneak away from the scene. After calming down, Reika claps her hands together and gives Sunao a deep, formal bow of apology for her misjudgment, which makes him uncomfortable. Reika sincerely apologizes for her assumptions and for stressing Sunao out. He accepts, and she remarks that their body swapping situation is genuinely awful. Sunao asks if anyone else knows about the swap, and Reika confirms she kept it a secret because she figured everyone would think they were crazy. Sunao is surprised that Reika is making sense and decides he needs to tell Lemon about her, but Reika offers to help explain the situation herself. Reika asks if Sunao will let her explain everything to Lemon, saying it's the least she can do to express her regret for the trouble she's caused. Reika gets confused about how to properly apologize to Lemon, wondering aloud if she needs a gift basket or should be prepared to cut off a pinky. At a fast food restaurant, Lemon tells Suzuka she's at a loss because she hasn't heard anything from Sunao, causing Suzuka to feel a sense of déjà vu. Lemon explains to Suzuka that she's suspicious of Sunao and Reika, noting that Sunao only ever bumps into her when Lemon is not in his body. Lemon apologizes for burdening Suzuka but explains she thinks she's the only one who can help. She then offers him chicken nuggets to thank him. As they eat, Lemon and Suzuka both silently speculate that Sunao and Reika might be dating, though they both think the possibility is zero. Lemon worries that Sunao and Reika are secretly close, but Suzuka reveals he saw them having a heated argument in the park just before he arrived. Suzuka tries to calm Lemon down as she panics about Sunao pushing her out of his life, and she resolves that she can't let things end without telling him how she feels. Lemon decides she needs to act now and tell Sunao everything, worried she'll regret it if she waits and he starts dating someone else. Lemon thanks Suzuka for helping her sort out her feelings and, smiling, announces she is going to tell Sunao how she feels right now. Resolved to confess, Lemon pulls out her phone to text Sunao, but is shocked when he suddenly appears right in front of her. Reika talks to Sunao as he receives a text from Lemon asking to talk. He suggests Reika explain everything to Lemon when she arrives. As Reika runs off to buy an apology gift for Lemon, Lemon suddenly appears and tells a surprised Sunao she has something important to say. Lemon apologizes for showing up so suddenly, and Sunao tries to warn her about Reika, but Lemon cuts him off, insisting that he wait. Lemon nervously tells Sunao to let her talk first before she loses her nerve, leaving him confused as he agrees to listen. Suzuka spies on Lemon from around a corner, wondering if she's about to confess, while Lemon herself gets cold feet and thinks about what will happen if she's rejected. Lemon gets scared and has second thoughts about confessing, so she asks Suzuka what he thinks she should do, and he bluntly tells her not to do it. Suzuka advises Lemon that now is not the right time to confess. She agrees and nervously changes the subject back to her chicken nuggets. Suzuka sighs and decides to leave, but as he walks away, he thinks Lemon is acting suspicious and decides to turn back. Suzuka runs into Reika as he's leaving and grabs her, calling her the culprit as she tries to flee in a panic. Suzuka confronts Reika, demanding to know what she's doing there and accusing her of trying to bother Sunao and Lemon. When Suzuka reveals that Lemon is about to confess to Sunao, he yells that he won't let Reika ruin it, but she just seems delighted by the news. Reika says she doesn't think Lemon's confession will work out, and when Suzuka asks why, she realizes he doesn't know Sunao has a crush on someone else. Sunao and Lemon are shown sitting on a park bench as he tells her a funny story about being in her body on a women-only train car. Lemon panics internally, wondering how to confess to Sunao without making things awkward, while Sunao notices her strange expression. Sunao asks Lemon what's wrong with her face and if she's sick, causing a flustered Lemon to internally scold herself for getting cold feet. Lemon yells at Sunao not to be nice to her, then tries to backtrack, while Suzuka stops Reika, saying he won't let her ruin Lemon's confession. Reika asks Suzuka why he won't stop Lemon from getting rejected, but he says it isn't their business. Reika argues they should stop her so she doesn't regret it. Suzuka realizes that while Reika wants to help, from Lemon's perspective she'd be the villain for getting in the way, and asks if Reika is okay with that. Reika declares that she'll be the bad guy if it means stopping Lemon from doing something she'll regret, saying it's worth it even if Lemon hates her. As Reika resolves to stop Lemon, Suzuka grabs her arm and says he will help her do it for Lemon's sake. A few moments later, a panting Suzuka and Reika appear before a shocked Sunao and Lemon, pretending to be concerned about something happening. Sunao asks why Reika and Suzuka are there together, causing Lemon to realize Reika must know their secret, as Reika gives her a deep, apologetic bow. Reika tearfully apologizes to Lemon for the trouble her actions caused and explains that she figured things out because she noticed how perceptive Lemon was. Lemon praises Reika for being like a detective for figuring out the body swap and consoles her as she cries. Sunao then asks Lemon what she wanted to tell him. Lemon quickly lies that she was going to tell Sunao that Reika knew their secret, then apologizes to Suzuka for getting cold feet, and a tired Sunao suggests they go home. After Lemon tells Suzuka it's fine, he leaves with Reika, asking her what she wanted to talk about as they sit down in a cafe. In the cafe, Suzuka guesses Reika wants to talk about him, and she confirms that she wants to thank him and apologize. Reika correctly deduces Suzuka's entire situation. He has a crush on Lemon, gave up because of Sunao, and felt conflicted about her confessing to Sunao. Reika thanks Suzuka for stopping her from making a mistake and says he's too uptight before a waitress delivers a large apology parfait to their table. Reika tells Suzuka he doesn't need to apologize to her and points out that, of course, he can't fully support Lemon when he's in love with her himself. Reika yells that it's frustrating not being able to move on from love, causing Suzuka to worry that her cuteness will get her targeted by a crime syndicate. Reika says she feels better now and tells Suzuka to smile, but he complains that it's awkward when someone thanks him while yelling that they're trash. Suzuka clarifies that he has to move on from his crush on Lemon eventually because it almost made him hurt her, then admits he still admires Reika. Suzuka explains that he admires Reika's enthusiasm and her willingness to confess to Sunao even if it might make him hate her, something he couldn't do. After Reika says she was just talking to herself, she decides it's only fair to open up to Suzuka and reveals that her parents are divorced because her father had a child with another woman. Reika explains that she used the divorce settlement to get into an elite college and that she doesn't care about her father, whom she calls scum. Reika explains that while she didn't care about her dad leaving, her mother was devastated and cried every day, trying to hide her pain from Reika. Reika says it hurt more to see her mother in pain than it did for her dad to leave, defining love as a willingness to do anything to keep the person you love from getting hurt. Suzuka realizes Reika's past is the reason for her obsession with Lemon, and Reika vows to get over her feelings and not cause any more trouble. Reika announces she has a shift at the bakery and leaves with Suzuka, who thanks her and says he feels like he'll be okay now. As Suzuka walks away feeling better, his phone rings with a call from Reika, who tells him to look at the sky. Reika tells Suzuka she saw a rainbow and thought it might cheer him up. After an awkward exchange, they hang up. Suzuka hangs up thinking Reika seems like a good person, while Reika groans that she was being too nosy, just as she gets a call from someone named Miho. Miho talks on the phone with a friend about going to a fireworks festival and gets flustered when Akiyoshi is mentioned, insisting that they have to wear yukatas. An older woman helps a girl get dressed in a floral yukata, tying her obi and doing her hair. Natsumi and her friends, already in yukatas, greet Miho as she finishes changing. They compliment each other's outfits. Natsumi compliments Miho, calling her adorable, and thinks to herself that Miho is a cute person on the inside as well. In a series of flashbacks, Natsumi recalls Miho's pure and kind acts, like getting excited over chicken and trying to cheer Natsumi up when she was sad. A friend teases Miho about her date, which she denies, insisting Akiyoshi doesn't see her that way, though her friends seem to be plotting something. Natsumi thinks Miho is too cute in her yukata, and that Akiyoshi should thank her for it, while the other girls are confused by her intense expression. Natsumi, Miho, and their friends arrive at the festival and meet up with a group of boys, and Miho gets a compliment on her yukata pattern. Miho spots a boy and waves. As he approaches, her friends get excited and suggest taking a picture, making Miho flustered. Miho's friend suggests going to a crab-catching stall, but Miho is distracted, worrying she won't get a chance to talk to Akiyoshi with so many club members around. After watching a boy catch 10 crabs, Miho gets flustered, wondering if she was expecting him to say something sweet to her again. Miho decides to forget her worries and have fun catching crabs, but as she reaches into the tank, she nearly gets her yukata sleeve wet. Akiyoshi suddenly appears and warns Miho about her sleeve almost getting wet, and she thanks him. Akiyoshi nervously compliments Miho, telling her that her yukata looks great and that he just wanted her to know. Miho blushes at Akiyoshi's compliment, and he gets flustered, apologizing for the awkward timing. A friend interrupts Miho and her group to suggest getting food, just as Akiyoshi's friends arrive and tease him for being poor. Miho tells Natsumi she is going to wash her hands and runs into Akiyoshi at a vending machine. Akiyoshi and Miho talk by the vending machines, and she explains Natsumi sent her for water. They then realize Natsumi is gone and go looking for her. Akiyoshi and Miho find out the stall Natsumi mentioned is closed, realizing they've been abandoned by their friends, who are shown celebrating their successful plan. Akiyoshi and Miho stand alone in the crowd, and Miho receives a vague text from Natsumi about where the group is. Akiyoshi asks if Natsumi replied to her text, and Miho shows him the non-committal message, which confuses him. Miho gets flustered and suggests that maybe they don't have to find their friends and can just watch the fireworks together. Akiyoshi surprises Miho by saying he would prefer to watch the fireworks with just her instead of the other freshmen. A flustered Miho agrees, and Akiyoshi leads her to a viewing spot that he says a local friend told him about. Akiyoshi and Miho find a good spot to watch the fireworks from and are happy to be alone. Miho notices a child's glow-in-the-dark bracelet. Seeing the bracelet reminds Akiyoshi and Miho of playing with Rainbow Springs as kids, and they share nostalgic memories. Akiyoshi and Miho continue to reminisce about their childhoods, and he surprises her by remembering a specific detail about how she likes pickled ginger. Akiyoshi recalls that Miho mentioned her preference for pickled ginger at a club party, surprising her as the fireworks begin to go off. As the fireworks light up the sky, Miho and Akiyoshi watch in awe, and she thinks to herself how beautiful it is. Akiyoshi points out a firework that looks like a word, and Miho glances at him, wondering if he was just looking at her. Miho blushes after Akiyoshi catches her staring at him, making him so flustered that he can't focus on the fireworks. As the fireworks finale ends, Akiyoshi gets a phone call from his club prez and tells her he's with Miho and that they didn't get lost. Akiyoshi complains that the prez is treating them like lost children, but Miho smiles and says they should go back to their friends. When they reunite with their friends, Natsumi and the prez tease them about getting lost and being alone together. Miho reflects on how wonderful the evening was, from Akiyoshi seeing her yukata to him remembering small details about her, and realizes how much she wanted to spend time with him. After Natsumi asks if she is okay, Miho realizes and declares to herself that she has fallen in love with the real Sunao. Sunao, in Lemon's body, sits on his bed wondering if he's bad at pretending to be her, recalling his friend's perceptive comments. Looking in the mirror, Sunao, in Lemon's body, decides his friends are just weirdly perceptive until he is startled by the doorbell. Sunao, in Lemon's body, is shocked to find Kanade at his door, who cheerfully asks why Lemon didn't tell her about her plans. Kanade explains she bumped into a friend named Konkuri on campus, and they decided to go to karaoke since they both had no plans. Kanade invites a panicking Sunao, in Lemon's body, to join them for karaoke, and he struggles to decide what Lemon would do in this situation. At the karaoke place, Sunao, in Lemon's body, regrets coming but is relieved that with a large group of girls, he won't have to talk much. Sunao, in Lemon's body, is shocked to see Reika Asagi in the karaoke room, and Reika also looks surprised to see him. After Kanade introduces Lemon and Reika, she grabs a microphone and enthusiastically declares it's time to sing, dismissing any awkwardness. Reika tells Sunao as Lemon that since it's a body swap day, she didn't expect to see him, jokingly calling him a stalker. Reika agrees to help a worried Sunao act like Lemon, but is annoyed when he tries to use Lemon's cute face to get her to help him. Inside the karaoke room, Sunao, in Lemon's body, nervously chooses a song, not knowing what girls normally sing. To his surprise, Sunao finds that he can easily sing in the original key with Lemon's voice and gets excited as the other girls cheer him on. After his song, Sunao is shocked to see Reika crying and learns it's because she thought his singing voice was beautiful. Kanade enthusiastically asks Lemon to sing a duet with her, but Sunao doesn't know the song well, while Reika answers the room's phone. While singing the duet, Sunao, in Lemon's body, panics when he can't remember the bridge, and someone knocks on the door. A karaoke staff member brings a drink for Reika just as Sunao and Kanade are singing the chorus. As the staff member leaves, he shakes Sunao's and Lemon's body hand, and Reika yells that he was supposed to shake hers. Later, Sunao reads a confusing text from Lemon about karaoke. In the film club room, the prez announces that they need to decide on their project for the upcoming school festival. Club members discuss doing a food stall like last year, but Suzuka thinks that Sunao looks like he feels the festival is already over for him. The prez vetoes the food stall idea and, holding up a clapperboard, excitedly declares that the film club is going to make a movie. The club members are shocked by the announcement, and Sunao points out that all their club ever does is watch and discuss movies. The press explains that they couldn't make a movie last year because so many older students were dating and breaking up that everyone quit. The press tries to motivate the club to make a short film, saying that creating something together makes for great memories. The press admits that she needs to have made a movie on her resume for job hunting and bows deeply, begging the club to help her. The press asks who wants to write the movie script, and a male club member volunteers. However, when she asks who wants to act, the room is silent. Sunao questions the press's sudden lack of energy as she explains they still need a female lead, but all the girls in the club decline for various reasons. Club members discuss potential actresses, considering models or pageant contestants, but the press says they're all too busy. The others tease a member for just wanting to meet cute girls. At a restaurant, the film club press formally asks a surprised Lemon to be the star of their movie, as Natsumi explains the press has heard of her before. Lemon happily agrees to act in the movie, which delights the press, who sees it as a great resume-boosting collaboration. Natsumi apologizes for not being able to act herself. Lemon says she's happy to help her friends, and an overjoyed Prez thanks her profusely, shaking an unamused Sunao. After the Prez says she'll send the details later, Sunao suggests making a group chat and then asks Lemon if she's really okay with the arrangement. Sunao offers to tell the Prez that Lemon wants to back out, thinking she was pressured into it, but the Prez interrupts them to ask for a portable charger. Sunao asks if Lemon is worried about him, but she reassures him that she agreed because she genuinely wanted to participate. Lemon thanks Sunao for his concern as Natsumi returns with their drinks. Later, as they part ways, Sunao wishes Lemon luck with her acting, which seems to confuse her. Sunao has a horrifying realization. If filming occurs on a body swap day, he will be the one in Lemon's body and will have to be the lead actress. Lemon arrives on set with Reika, surprising Sunao and the other film club members. Reika nervously tells him not to mind her. The Prez thanks Lemon for helping and invites her to bring friends from her own school, which Sunao internally suspects is just a ploy to make herself look more popular. Lemon announces that she invited Reika, who looks extremely nervous. Sunao whispers that it's better to have Reika who knows their secret than a stranger. Reika says she is just a normal person and feels unworthy of being on the set of Lemon's film, but Lemon and Sunao reassure her it's not a big deal. Lemon introduces Reika to the Prez, who happily welcomes her, saying the more people, the better. Reika thinks the Prez looks familiar. The Prez correctly identifies Reika as Akiyoshi's girlfriend, shocking everyone, before taking it back and then yelling, "Not!" The Prez points at Reika, calling her a deadbeat, which causes another club member to call Reika scum after she asks if he is single. The Prez complains that she's the one looking for a girlfriend, just as Natsumi and Miho arrive, startling Reika. Natsumi asks if Reika is Lemon's friend, and Reika introduces herself, trying to act surprised, despite having stalked all of Lemon's social media accounts. Sunao and Kogahara walk away to discuss a job, and Reika waves goodbye before following them with her eyes. Reika peeks around a corner and sees Sunao talking with Kogahara, realizing she must be the girl he has a crush on. When he notices her, she admits she had a sixth sense about it. Reika says Kogahara is even cuter in person, and that while Lemon is her number one, she wants to express her devotion to Kogahara too, which weirds out Sunao. Natsumi watches Sunao with his group of female friends, noting that he has a lot of them, while her own friends complain that he seems close with other girls. At the next club meeting, the Prez calls everyone to attention to pass out the screenplay, only to announce it's not finished and they can all go home. The Prez insists the script is almost done, but the other members are angry she wasted their time. She then suggests they all go out for shaved ice instead. The club members berate the Prez for her flimsy excuses about the script, and she yells that she's an artist who needs to make her work perfect. After the club members complain that she's wasting their time, the Prez gets annoyed and gives Sunao and another male member a stack of papers and an important mission. Sunao and the other male member are on their mission at a wholesale store called Postco, looking annoyed while Lemon, Natsumi, and Reika enjoy ice cream. A recap panel explains that the Prez banished the two boys to Postco for complaining, while the girls tagged along for ice cream. The group marvels at the size of the Postco warehouse store, and Sunao asks Lemon what is on the Prez's shopping list. Sunao reads the list, which includes items for a BBQ like charcoal and a cooler, causing him to question if it's really for a movie shoot. The group discusses the club's usual retreat at a mountain lodge, but Sunao finds a bag of giant marshmallows and realizes they're definitely having a BBQ. The club members gather the items from the list, including a water gun and a cooler, as they prepare to check out. Lemon gets excited about the store's free samples and runs off with Reika to try some, which Sunao finds endearing. Kogahara and Lemon are disappointed by a sour tea sample, but then get excited over huge platters of salmon roe and seafood, which Sunao shoots down. Reika finds a kilogram of sea grapes she wants to share, but Sunao scolds her like a mother. Later, the group returns to find the Prez working on her script. The Prez thanks the group for getting the supplies, which she confirms are for the movie set and not a party, calling it a movie retreat. The press reveals they're not going to the mountain lodge but to the beach on Namijima Island for a combination retreat and movie shoot, and invites the girls to come. When Kogahara asks about the lodge they had booked, the press explains that the owner asked them to cancel, so they were able to change the location. The press excitedly announces the beach trip and tells everyone to bring swimsuits. Later, in a cafeteria, Suzuka asks a silent Sunao if he's high.